Now we're going to turn to Phillips Brooks' hymn, O Little Town of Bethlehem, and that would be number 79 in your hymnal. And Alessandra, I need you to help me if you would. You see that big frame that's sitting right in the middle of the front pew? See it right here? Would you take that around the church so the adults can see what's on that frame? Can you do that for me? You can stop at each pew and let them look at it while I'm talking, okay? Thank you so much. Phillips Brooks is, of course, one of my I said to the kids at 5 o'clock, he's one of my very best friends. Oh, I wish. He's actually one of my favorite preaching mentors. Brooks, of course, was the rector of 2 famous churches, Holy Trinity in Philadelphia, and then Trinity Church, Copley Square in Boston, before he became the Bishop of Massachusetts for a short time of 15 months. It's been recorded that Brooks always felt like he had so much to say and so little time to say it in that he cultivated a really rapid-fire preaching style, which enabled him to deliver, get this, in 35 or 40 minutes, a sermon that would take the average preacher at least an hour and a half to proclaim. While he was the rector of Holy Trinity Church in Philadelphia, in 1865, he planned a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And I want you just to ponder for a minute what he would have had to undertake just to get there from the United States of America. No jets, no steamer boats, a sailboat, really, a boat with sails on it. And then when he got there, he'd have to ride camels, horses, and other things. And it was a long and dangerous trip. Yet the experience was everything that he, as a 30-year-old bachelor, dreamed it would be. And on Christmas week, he and his traveling party were in Jerusalem. And on Christmas Eve, in 1865, they made their way down from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, a journey of about 5 miles. They did it on horseback. And then before dark, Phillips Brooks went out to a field and a grotto just south of Bethlehem, where tradition tells us the shepherds encountered the heavenly host. Later, Brooks attended an unforgettable 5-hour liturgy at the Church of the Nativity, an ancient basilica said to have been built by Constantine over the spot where the manger stood. Brooks returned to Philadelphia, and he said he had Palestine singing in his soul. Well, 3 years later, in 1868, he composed the text to O Little Town of Bethlehem. And he asked his close friend, Louis Radner, to compose a new tune in time for the hymn to be introduced at a children's service on December 27th. Radner, who was not only the organist at Trinity Church, but also the superintendent of the Sunday school, accomplished the task, and it was premiered by 6 Sunday school teachers and 36 Sunday school students on December 27th. Now, in October of 2009, when I made my pilgrimage to the Holy Lands, I tried with all my might to have a Phillips Brooks experience in and around Bethlehem. I confess that it was difficult to do, because Bethlehem is no longer a little town. And because of the overwhelming, and I mean overwhelming number of pilgrims who were in and around the Shepherd's Grotto and the Church of the Nativity when we visited. The line to get into the Church of the Nativity reminds me of a line to get into any one of the popular rides in Cedar Point. You stand there for an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours just to get inside the door. This, combined with the political climate and the kind of unkempt touristy nature of the area, made it difficult for me and others to experience what Phillips Brooks had experienced. But we entered the city by the light of day, and because of some delays at the checkpoints out of the city, we did not leave to return to Jerusalem until well after dark. And I had a seat at the back of the bus, and there was an absolute amazing moment at which we left the illuminated glow of the city in the distance. And while I could still see the glow of Bethlehem, the stars lighting up the darkened sky above the hills suddenly came into focus. And that was what I like to think of as my Phillips Brooks Bethlehem moment. Yet in the dark streets shineth an everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. As we sing 3 verses of this beloved carol, may we ponder this event which has become so familiar to us. And let us pray for the Christ child to be born anew in our hearts tonight and every Christmastide. And let's not forget that sometimes you have to take a step back in order for things like faith to come into focus.